today's video, we're going to show you how to plaster and get right some old walls. Now this is a real life scenario. We're going to be stripping it down back to the basics, and we even deal with real examples where we're going to get leaks and first problems that will happen. This is an old tile splashback that's been ripped off. It's been left this awful thick grout, so I've had to try and scrape that back. Ceiling above I had to rip down. Now I'll show you in this clip, there was a massive sag in the ceiling, so there's a massive hole under the bath. The old tenant's cat lived under there and he just lived on the floorboard. That massive sag was probably a big fat cat. Ripped the whole ceiling down in the end. I was originally going to overboard it, it's not worth it. The first thing I'm going to do is deal with the base work. I'm going to start, I've PVA'd this splashback, going to bond that out, and then we're going to fill in any low spots. The plumber's also left patches everywhere. And this is a massive hole that was cut out here. This was a hole that was cut out for the customer, so they've got a hatch, which to be honest makes complete sense. So now they can see through. So we're going to bead that up as well. So yeah, I've got a bit to do. Okay, so first things first, what we've got here is some polystyrene coving and a popcorn ceiling. Now it's slightly stippled, and as you can see there is a texture, but the first thing we're getting off is this shocking example of coving. It's about 2mm thick, made of polystyrene, and probably one of the worst things to have set foot in this building. So we're hacking that back. We're basically stripping it back down, and we're getting the room completely stripped, scraping back any high spots, removing any areas that needs to come off. And the first part of preparing a wall, a problemed area, is just to strip everything back to the basics. So I've took all the coving off. Now what we've done, we've put a nice thick layer of PVA on the walls and on the popcorn ceiling, ready to start prepping. There's a massive hump in the wall here now. I kind of want to see what's going on. I've got a feeling it's been tape and jointed very badly, may I add, and it's creating this hump in the wall. There we go. So if you see that, if you see something that looks like you've got a bit of a hump and it looks like it's roughly the thickness of about 100mm, then it is probably just badly tape and jointed. Just going to rip that out. We've obviously got a kitchen being fitted here, so I want the walls to be as flat as possible. So that I've ripped off. I'm going to fill that in at the same time. I'm going to mix up a big batch of bonding and we're just going to start filling in all the holes. So let's go. Okay, so the plumber's had to put a few holes in the wall, which is not a problem. Cut some plasterboard planks out and fit them back in. But here's what I really wanted to show you. If you look at the state of the walls, you can see a lot of grease and grime. Now if you have this on any old walls in any house, what you want to do is get some sugar soap, mix it with water, and make sure you give the walls a good wash down. If you don't, then the grease can sometimes affect how much the adhesion of the plaster is going to work. So if you put PVA or even SBR, this might be a barrier that stops it from sticking properly. So make sure you wash it down. From there, what we're going to do is mix up a big bag of bonding. Now I'm going to get quite a big batch on. Got quite a lot to fill, as you can see, and we want it mixed quite thick. Now I don't know if you watch any of my videos, but I've been out of the mega mixer for a little bit. I've got the bad boy back, and I must say I can't believe I lived so long without it. So we're just going to put a tight coat of bonding on throughout here, nothing too thick. Like I said, we have got a kitchen to fit, so we don't want to run the walls too far out, but at the same time we do want a flat base for the splashback to work on. So we have got to be aware that the fact, yeah, we don't want the walls too far out of square, but we do need something relatively flat for the next people. So I'm just going to fill in these big holes first. There's a lot of damaged plasterboard here. Really, it should have all been ripped out in my opinion and reboarded, but they've kind of been screwed over and the budget's not there, which is totally understandable, you know. These people, they had this property, they weren't paying rent for 8 to 12 months, can't remember the exact figure, but you know, the budget's going to be affected because of that. So they just want to do it properly but without blowing the budget. So this is absolutely fine, you know. I'm going to put a decent base on here, working nicely around the plug socket. But so you don't always have to rip everything apart. There's going to be some areas in this house which you'll probably find where I'm going to have to rip the plasterboard out, because I've had a look around some areas that just aren't suitable. I'm not just going to keep them there, because if you get a call back later down the line, you know, something's gone wrong, then at the end of it, it will come down to me. So even though I do want to keep a budget, I also have to look after myself and make sure that the job's done properly. So a nice fine line between the two is good. Like I say here, all I want to do really is cover the adhesive. The kitchen is probably going to start along this line where it was. So I don't really want to taper too far into that section above. Keeping this section flat, but without intruding too much on the line above. So like I say, we're just going to fill in this section here now and get some other bits done. From there, we're also going to deal with these popcorn ceilings. Now the PVA's dried, and yeah, we're good to go. So what I've got now is using the same batch of bonding, I'm just going to go over and get rid of the high spots. I'm going to cover up the popcorn effect, and I'm going to make sure we're going to level it off. Now, a quick note, if you've got any old walls, you're probably going to come across some Artex. What you want to do is either just sail across like this, or get the ceilings tested if you want to scrape them down. It has been known that Artex can contain asbestos, so either get it checked or do what I'm dealing here, and I'm just literally just bonding over any high spots, which means from there we can plaster on top of it, knowing that we haven't disturbed the Artex, which could again contain asbestos. So I'm dealing with the top, with the ceiling, but I'm also filling in the gaps where I've had to rip the coving down. So wet to wet angles, which if you are a beginner I wouldn't really advise, but basically what we're doing is just filling in any of the bad areas, any of the popcorn texture, getting ready for plastering. And that is pretty much the whole area bonded, and it's looking good. But I've got a confession. Obviously you usually do all your prep first, including plasterboarding, but there was one thing I missed out, as you can probably tell, there's no ceiling. I've got a massive confession to make. Now, usually you start from the top, work down. I haven't yet boarded the ceiling, so I filled all the edges in, I bonded it all out. Now, I still haven't done the ceilings. The idea was originally today I was going to start upstairs, work my way down, but the customer changed her mind, and I didn't have any plasterboard with me. So I've just nipped out at lunch, hence why it looks dry. And now we're going to board the ceilings. Naturally, you'd want to do the ceilings first and then work your way down, and then you can fill in any edges. But look, do as I say, not as I do, as the old adage goes. So now we're going to whack some plasterboard on. I've just got the smaller sheets. It literally looks like it's going to be just under 1.8 meters. So that's perfect for what we've got going on. And from there, we should have a real nice clean base to work with. All the walls been flattened. Got rid of that horrible adhesive, and everything is starting to look a bit more positive. Okay, let's get this ceiling up and going. First thing you want to do is mark all your joists. Now, it's very simple to board a ceiling, but it can be tricky on your own. I've actually usually use a board lifter, but in case of this ceiling's so small, so I've just got some plasterboard props to help me out. But you mark all the joists, measure the boards, and then you basically run the boards opposite to the way the joists are running. So in this example, the joists are running horizontally, so they run the boards vertically, and that way you get a better span, and you get the most efficiency out of your cuts and your offcuts of plasterboard. So we've obviously got the joist measured out on one side, and then we want to just screw them up. What I like to do is just get the boards up first, and then at the end blitz all the screws in, just to find it's a lot faster doing it that way. Even faster would be to get a clated gun. I still haven't done that. I don't really know why I've done. And I'm still doing it old school and hand picking screws in. But look, one day you might see me with a clated gun. You never know. To be honest though, I don't love plasterboarding. I much prefer plastering. So I don't really do a lot of it, to be fair. So yeah, plasterboarding, it's not that complicated. But what you would usually do, like I said in the video, is board first, and then if there's got to be any gaps and you've got to do any bonding afterwards, at least you've got the bonding to fill in the gaps whilst you've got it mixed up. Now luckily I've done it quite tight, it's looking good, and all we want to do after this is apply some scrim tape, and then that way all the joints are covered. Next thing, I'm going to be applying some angle beads. Now I like to use a staple gun. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but once you get a hang of using a staple gun, using plasterboard onto plasterboard, or even you know, this is just ply. They're really strong, it's really fast, and it really does get a good hold on that angled bead and really fixes it in nicely. Again, now I've just got a nice thick coat of PVA, and what I've already PVA'd the walls, but what I'm doing now is just going over the bonding, put a nice strong mix. Pretty much I've gone 2-to-1 with this just to make sure that the bonding's got full suction control. And what you don't want to be doing is dealing with old walls is neglect the fact of suction. I was actually struggling with power, so I was trying to get another power source when this happened on the job. So just turn the water on to bloody start getting a mix, and water's pissed out everywhere upstairs. So there's obviously a bit of a leak in the plumbing. I thought that maybe the isolation valve here was not on properly, but it looks like there's a little fault between the connection here. So not only trying to find decent power source, now I've got water pissing out everywhere, so I can't turn the tap back on, and I can't find a source of electric that's not in the way. Great. I've just gone to turn the water on upstairs, and I don't know if it's a loose fitting because I couldn't check, because I've obviously had to turn the water off, but it's a leak. Yeah, it's coming through the ceiling. Right, I've tried to tighten the fitting, so let's see if anything changes now. I've put a little tray underneath, so I'm going to turn the water on a little bit. Turn it on a little bit. Looks okay. I don't know if it's where the connection's going to here, but it looks better now. So the water's out of the way. We're just skimming now. Finally getting a coat on of plaster, covering up all the sins. So like I say, the water's been sorted. There's no leaks so far. I've just turned the water off, to be fair, because it's not worth it, but the plumber is popping in to have a little look, which is good because I hate plumbing. What I'm going to do is just get this kitchen skimmed out. Now there's nothing new here. I'm going to blitz through this, and then we're going to move on to the next sections, because I need to start cracking on. I've lost some time. Now everything I've just shown you here is a brief overview, and that's how we're going to deal with old walls properly. But this is where a lot of people still get stuck, because old walls are never just one problem. You've got different backgrounds, patches from different eras, and areas you're not quite sure you can trust. Half the time you don't actually know if what you're looking at is fine, or if it's going to come back to bite you in the future. And the real issue isn't the skimming, it's knowing what to do first and what order to do it in. And it's what causes most mistakes. What I haven't shown you in this video is the exact 7-step process I follow when plastering a wall properly. The exact process I follow every time I'm plastering, for example like this wall here. These steps aren't complicated, but they need to be followed to get the job right. Miss one, rush one, or do them in the wrong order, and you won't always see the problem straight away. That's why I put together a free plastering crash course. It breaks the whole thing down step by step, including the 7 steps to plastering, so you're not guessing or hoping you've done enough. Each email covers an aspect of plastering with a video, and it shows you why you should be doing something instead of just copying it. If that's what you want, click the link below in this video in the description. Start there and you'll understand old walls properly, instead of wondering whether this one's going to hold up. So to finish, here's one last thing. Old walls don't need to be stressful. Once you understand the process, they actually become some of the most satisfying jobs you'll ever do. I'll see you on the crash course. Cheers.